Play Dead is a story about a band, their junky broken down van, an abandoned house, and a surprisingly lively dead dog. My name is Catherine, and today we are going to experience a visual novel called Play Dead, Schrödinger's House. This is an episodic story released in small bite-sized chapters. The author of this visual novel is Hazu and Skelebun Studios, and it was released in October 1st, 2020. This is kinetic novel, so there are no optional story paths or various endings. We get to just chill, sit back and enjoy the story. Like all my videos, this one too is targeted for adult audiences. This is a horror game, and there are content warnings which I've listed in the description text below this video. So, grab your snacks, find a comfortable chair and blankets if needed, and let's see what kind of story this will be.
I told you we should have checked the oil before we left!
It's not the oil, it's the radiator, jackass.
Well, if you know so much about cars, then why don't you fix it?
Do I look like a fucking mechanic to you?
Well, with all those tattoos...
You leave my tattoos out of this, or I swear to God, I will shave your dumb shit hipster beard in your sleep.
Okay, so it looks like our characters have different logos in front of their names.
You wouldn't dare.
Try me.
I absently swung my baseball cap around to face backwards, ignoring my bandmates bickering as I walked down the crumbling road holding my phone in the air, in search of a modicum of cell service. Brian and Savannah had been at it for the better part of 20 minutes, while staring at the steaming mess of mechanisms under the hood of our van. It's not an old van per se, but it isn't new either, and it's taken a beating from being tracked all over the country by a quartet of irresponsible 20-somethings. Okay, so who is this character? Oh, before I get too far into this, hi, I'm Corey, and I'm in a pop-punk band called Stop Thief. That's a wonderful name for a band. So, this looks like it's a website, unspokenpress.com. The Stop Thief announces new single. Awesome! Oh, it looks like they are on a gig and they are having fun. We're what you might call up and coming, which means we're super broke and basically homeless, and our families question our life choices a lot. But sometimes people say they like our music and it makes us happy. Anyway, we were called something else originally, but then, this whole thing happened. Ever since, life on the road has been weird, to put it mildly. Okay, so what happened? This story we are about to experience now? I finally stopped about 100 feet up the road, taking in our surroundings. There were woods to one side with large pine trees looming over the cracking pavement, and a deep ravine to the other. Fog was settling over the valley, obscuring the mountains in the distance. I thought we were somewhere in West Virginia, but I'd been in the middle of a pretty great nap when the van broke down, so I wasn't sure. I didn't see any road signs around to confirm or deny my suspicion, and Google Maps is pretty useless without a cell tower nearby. It was then that I realized something was off. There were only 3 of us standing on the side of the road like idiots, not 4.
Hey, guys. Where's Kaleb?
Savannah and Brian hit pause on their argument.
I thought he was in the van.
She walked around the van, flinging open the sliding side door and poking her head inside.
Shit.
Don't tell me he ran off somewhere.
Brian sighed, scratching his beard.
There's probably bears or something in these woods.
Savannah had now climbed into the van and was frantically searching under seats and behind suitcases, muttering curses.
We should probably look for him. Hey, Savannah, see if there's any flashlights in there. I think I stashed 1 or 2 in that box behind the back seat.
Look at you, thinking ahead.
So is Brian is obviously this person, but do they play bass? Is bass the right word for this? I guess so. I began crawling into the van to help Savannah.
Well, someone has to be the adult supervision here.
And Corey is the singer with the microphone icon. Brian only grunted in response, thankfully not commenting on the fact that he was, in fact, older than me. Just as I pulled the second of 2 flashlights out of a cardboard box buried under Kaleb's guitar case, there was a scream and the loud thud of something hitting the van from outside. Brian, is he okay? Savannah and I rushed out to find Brian sitting on the ground next to the tire.
Fucking shit, Kaleb! Don't sneak up on me like that!
Kaleb, who was standing over him with a mildly startled look, started to laugh.
Man, you really jumped high. Were you trying to get over the hood of the van?
Okay, so Kaleb plays guitar, I suppose, based on this icon here.
Never mind him. Where were you? You can't just run off like that. Who knows what's out there?
And Savannah is drummer, I suppose.
Okay, yeah, but I found something cool.
It's worth noting that Savannah, despite hating pretty much everyone, especially Brian, has a weird siblingy affection for Kaleb that she has for no one else. I'm guessing it's just because they grew up together, but also I've met kindergarteners with a higher degree of maturity and impulse control than Kaleb, so someone has to watch out for him.
Oh yeah? Where?
In the woods.
Oh no, we're not going in there!
It's a house, though. There might be people there we could ask for help.
Brian, Savannah, and I exchanged looks.
Well, it's worth a shot.
Is it though?
I sighed and began following Kaleb into the forest, clicking on a flashlight.
Just come on.
We wandered through the sparse underbrush, something I chalked up to the thick tree cover. It was just reaching dusk outside of the woods, but Inside, it might as well have been midnight. I wouldn't have been able to see 5 feet in front of my face without the flashlight. It was also strangely quiet. No animal noises, no insects buzzing, no leaves rustling. Even our footsteps were muffled by soft greenish brown moss that coated the ground.
This is eerie as shit. We should go back.
I'm excited. It's gonna be deep, dark woods, and we have no idea what's gonna happen next.
What? Are you scared?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I am. You probably should be too.
We're almost there.
Wow. Okay, I have to admit that house looks slightly spooky, yes? Pretty much as soon as he said it, a structure came into view. It was a log cabin home, 2 stories with a front porch and what looked like the remnants of a driveway leading up to it. There were no lights on inside.
Who puts a houseway out here anyway?
Someone who doesn't want to be bothered, probably.
Then maybe, I don't know, we shouldn't bother them?
And what? Hitchhike to the nearest town?
I'd rather take my chances with that.
Are you sure there's even someone in there? It looks pretty abandoned.
Yeah, I definitely saw someone moving around through the window.
Oh, okay. Before any of us could protest, Kaleb had jogged up to the porch and was knocking on the door. Oh no. When he got no response, he knocked harder.
Hey, anyone home?
Caleb, stop that. You're gonna get us.
Brian abruptly fell silent when the door swung open with a creak. We peered inside at the dark, empty room beyond.
Huh. I guess it was open.
It doesn't look like anyone's home.
But you said you saw someone inside, Kaleb.
Maybe they're upstairs. Come on.
He waltzed through the door with no hesitation whatsoever.
Caleb! You can't just wander into other people's houses!
The door was open.
He quickly disappeared from sight in the dark house. The remaining 3 of us let out a collective groan and followed him inside.
I really don't think anyone's home.
Savannah ran her finger through the thick coating of dust on a nearby bookshelf. The place smelled musty with notes of old people and roadkill. Wow, lovely. So what do we see here? We see some sort of living room that it looks like there is fireplace and some kind of decorations, chalice, sun, hen with eggs and a car. And some kind of, I don't know, triangles, pyramids. It looks like someone took good care of this place at some point.
Then why is there still so much stuff here? It looks like someone left all of a sudden.
I wandered into the kitchen.
Ew.
What?
Brian walked up behind me.
Ew.
On the table was something that looked like it had once been a bowl of roots that had since decomposed into a pile of dusty goop. There were a handful of dead flies around it. Yikes.
What do you think happened to the people that lived here?
That's a good question. Savannah entered the kitchen and began to open cabinets. She wrinkled her nose as she peered into one below the counter.
Ugh, gross. Dead rat.
She then made a movement as if to smack a fly on her arm, but looked confused when she pulled her hand away, and nothing was there. Must have missed it. She shut the cabinet, then flung it open again, looking inside.
What the?
What?
I thought I heard something. And the rat's gone.
The dead one?
I mean, I thought it was dead. It was skin and bones and wasn't moving.
Maybe it was napping?
I guess?
I feel like this is the part where we find a body, like a human one.
Please don't say that.
I think you would be able to smell it if there would be a human body here.
Hey, I'm just being...
Brian was cut off by a sharp scream and a thump from upstairs. We exchanged panic looks before scrambling up the stairs, where we'd heard Kaleb's yell. I love this whole thing. Look at these power poses. They are ready to defend their friend who looks like something happened, like they're scared. But I love these power poses. Amazing. We rushed into the bedroom, fists up, where Kaleb was sitting on the floor and staring wide-eyed at something.
What is it? What happened?
Oh. Brian suddenly took a step backwards, pointing to something on the end of the bed.
What the hell is that?
I think it's a dog. Or it was.
Poor creature. The pile of bones curled up on the end of the bed was vaguely canine-shaped and still had a bit of dried, dusty skin sticking to it. There was a dark stain on the blanket underneath it, and a faded red collar hung around its skeletal neck.
Do you think it just got left behind?
At this point, Kaleb had recovered as well, and was standing back up and wandering closer to the creature.
Well, don't touch it!
But that's kinda sad, isn't it? Little guy must be waiting for his master to come home.
True, it is very sad, yeah. I agree with Kaleb.
Okay, yes, it's sad. Can we please leave now? Obviously, we're not getting any help from this place.
Yeah. For once, I actually think Brian's right. Let's go.
As Savannah, Brian, and I began to file out of the room, I glanced back at Kaleb, who didn't appear to be following.
Kaleb, you coming?
Huh? Oh, yeah.
He quickly spun around to face me and began to follow. I thought I saw him shove something in his pocket, but didn't think anything of it at the time. That was a mistake. We paraded back down the stairs and re-entered the living room.
This place is super weird.
Savannah shuffled her feet on the dingy carpet. It was a little too soft in a squishy, rotted kind of way.
I think weird is an understatement.
Let's just go back to the van.
We began walking towards the door. Suddenly, it slammed shut, blocking our escape route.
What the fuck?
A strong wind picked up in the room, blowing dust and loose decor everywhere. A strange noise could be heard behind the gale. It sounded like barking.
What the hell is this?
Savannah yelled over the wind, shielding her face from flying debris.
How should I know? Shit!
My baseball cap blew off of my head and joined the items twirling about the room. I grabbed at it but missed. Oh, are those ears? That's a tail, and that's a doggy holding a baseball cap on his mouth. I love it. Instead, it flew in a different direction and hovered above the floor. As the wind died down, something else slowly came into focus where the hat was hovering. Oh, such a cutie! I love it. That's a face of a happy dog. It was somewhat transparent, appeared to be a pale bluish color, and had 4 paws, a wagging tail, and a muzzle wrapped around the pill of the gap.
Is that a dog?
I think it was a dog.
His facial expression and the dog looks so happy. I remained still, wide-eyed gaze fixed on the incorporeal canine.
You did not. Just take my hat.
The dog wagged its tail a little harder. I pointed at the ground.
Drop it. Now.
Good luck with that. The dog crouched down in a playful stance.
I mean it, Mutt. Drop the hat.
Hey, no need to call our little doggy friend by such nasty names. I took a step forward. The dog hopped side to side a bit, tail wagging so fast it was little more than a blur. With a war cry, I launched myself at the dog, who deftly leapt out of the way and took off running with the hat. It just wants to play. Who knows how long it's been in here?
Stop, thief!
And that's the band name. Now I know this seems like a bit of an overreaction for a hat, but, well, first of all, it was my favorite hat. It's well worn to the point that there are tears forming around the edges of the bill, which I didn't want exacerbated by ghost dog slobber. Second, the hat is just my thing. I feel naked without it. It's a long story, don't ask questions.
Should we stop him?
Brian tried to follow the movement as the dog quite literally flew past him, with me close behind.
I don't really know what to do. There's not exactly a precedent for the situation.
I made a dive for the dog and nearly crashed into a coffee table. Kaleb, meanwhile, was laughing gleefully at the display. I finally managed to corner the mutt in the kitchen against the cabinets. It hopped back and forth playfully, wagging its tail again. I made a grab for it, and the dog jumped right through me. Honestly, I don't know what else I expected. He looks so happy. Look at that doggy face. The good news is that the hat was, in fact, a physical object that existed in our reality and did not pass through with the dog. Instead, it harmlessly smacked me in the chest before falling to the ground. I snatched it up before the mods could make it back and ran back to the living room.
Alright, crisis averted. Let's get out of here before I have to process what just happened.
I made a beeline for the door, grabbed the handle, tried to turn it and couldn't. I tried jiggling it again, then I tried to turn the lock. It wouldn't budge.
Oh, come on!
Savannah peered out a window, squinting a bit.
Hey guys. Don't look now, but I think someone just came home.
Wait, what? What? Completely disregarding her advice, we all gathered around the living room window, where an ancient pickup truck had just appeared in the driveway. Its back fender appeared to have rusted off, and there was a larger crack in the windshield. A figure was getting out of it, though it was hard to make out any details in the dark.
What do we do? We can't just stay here!
Well, the door's locked, so I don't know where you expect us to go.
I said this despite frantically searching for an exit myself. Then there was the sound of a key entering the lock from the outside, and we all froze. I'm so... What the heck? What? I'm not sure I would describe the thing that entered the house as human exactly. It might have been once, but now, not so much. It resembled an old man, but sported dry greyish skin, pulled tightly over bones and was covered in dirt and fungus. Its clothes, meanwhile, were rotted to the point that they were practically fused to the skin. Most noticeably, the thing was missing most of the left half of its face, a hole filled with black slime and mushrooms taking its place. The remaining eye socket was dark and empty, and a powerful stench of rot and decay emanated from the creature. None of us moved, none of us even breathed. The presumably undead man shuffled into the house, a hoarse whistle escaping its dried lips. I noticed the ghost dog was still around, albeit covering under the table with its tail tucked between its legs. The mushroom-covered zombie shuffled towards the kitchen, leaving the door open behind him. I gave Savannah, Brian, and Kaleb a meaningful look, indicating the door. They all nodded slightly, also trying not to make any sudden moves. I put up 3 fingers and began counting down. 3, 2, 1. The undead creature suddenly turned with surprising speed, lunging in our direction with a raspy howl. Savannah, ever the quickest on her feet, smashed a vase over its head, knocking it off balance long enough for the 4 of us to make it out the door in what felt like one giant leap. You go, Savannah! We hit the porch and proceeded to crash through the woods, stumbling over tree roots and kicking up clumps of moss along the way. Finally, we erupted back out onto the road, the van still sitting right where we'd left it. Savannah panted as she spun around, scanning the trees.
What the actual fuck was that?
I don't know. But mushrooms are now completely off the table as a pizza topping.
I leaned over with my hands on my knees to catch my breath.
Let's just get back in the van.
What? Our van that doesn't go anywhere? What if that thing comes out here?
Do you have a better idea?
I don't know, start walking?
To where? Do you even know where we are?
Pennsylvania? Probably.
Yeah, that inspires confidence.
Guys? Look.
He pointed down the road, where 2 pinpricks of light were visible and growing larger.
Oh God. What if it's that rusty pickup? It could be that monster!
As the vehicle got closer, it turned out that it was, in fact, a pickup truck, but a much newer one than the dilapidated jalopy in the woods. The driver was a stocky, bearded 30-something with a wad of chewing tobacco under his lip, and not only stopped, but offered to take a look at our van after Kaleb ignored Brian's protests and waved him down. As he poked around under the hood, we were informed that we were a few miles outside of Wheeling, West Virginia, which was admittedly fairly close to the Pennsylvania border.
It ain't your radiator. It's this belt came loose.
The man pointed at the innards of the van, as if any of us knew what we were looking at.
Let me get some tools out of my truck. I'll get you fixed up.
Oh, such a kind stranger. Oh, I'm so glad we ran into him. We breathed a collective sigh of relief and agreed to stop in town and blow what little money we had on a couple of hotel rooms for the night. The man chatted idly as he worked on the van.
It's probably best you don't hang around these parts anyway.
What do you mean by that?
There's a legend about this mountain. Says that this forest don't like things living in it, especially people. And anyone that tries, well, they wind up cursed, existing in a state between life and death.
No, good to know. Oh boy. He paused, scratching his beard with a greasy hand.
That's the wives' tale, anyways. Try not to lollygag around here myself.
The man was true to his word and had the van up and running in about half an hour. Brian almost cried, I think. He let us follow him into the city, and I almost cried when my phone started picking up service again. Finally, we pulled up to a cheap motel, which, believe it or not, is better than sleeping in the van, and I, for one, was exhausted. That was when we heard it, a soft woof from the back of the van. Savannah, Brian, and I turned around in our seats to face Kaleb, who appeared to be trying to hide something behind him.
Kaleb, what do you have?
Is it the doggy? I hope it is the doggy.
Nothing! Oh, what would make you think there was anything hiding behind my back right now?
Kaleb, do not make me come back there.
No, really, it's nothing. completely insubstantial, I assure you.
Right. Before I could respond, the thing behind Caleb's back revealed itself by passing right through his chest and jumping up onto the floor next to Brian. Yes! Yes, it's the ghost doggy! I'm so happy. I was so worried because our little friend was cowering under the table and I was worried if it's gonna be left in the cabin all by itself with the owner who doesn't seem like... I don't know if you have a dog and you have a good relationship with them. They usually like to greet you when you come home, but this dog was cowering under the table, which, at least for me, isn't a very good sign. So I'm so glad the dog is with us, hopefully now. I mean, it could be our band mascot or something. The ghost dog looked at Savannah and I and let out a short bark, wagging its tail. My reaction was slow. One moment I was staring dumbfounded at the dog, and the next I was shouting incoherently, pointing in its general direction, while frantically waving my other arm.
Why? How? What the fuck is that thing doing here?
Well, I think it's probably because I took this.
Kaleb held up a faded red collar.
It must have been what was keeping him trapped at the house.
Kaleb! Why would you take that with you?
I don't know, I just do things sometimes, you know that.
That doesn't mean you can just steal things from haunted houses! Or any houses!
Okay, well, unless you want to take it back...
Oh, fuck no. We're not going back there.
Then I can keep him?
Keep what? No, absolutely not. We're not keeping a ghost dog.
But where else is he going to go?
He gestured towards the dog, who had a ghostly blue tongue lolling out of one side of its mouth.
I don't know. Drop him off at the animal shelter or something? Savannah, will you please talk some sense into him?
Savannah, meanwhile, was rubbing her chin and giving the dog a strange look.
Well, it's not like we have to feed it or anything. Or let it out. I mean, it is dead.
Caleb's face lit up while mine sunk.
Brian, what about... Brian?
Brian was passed out in the seat next to the dog. Turns out he'd fainted as soon as he saw it. I pointed at our unconscious bassist.
I feel like that counts as a no from him.
His opinion doesn't matter even when he's awake. Just let him keep the stupid dog.
I'll take good care of him.
Kaleb, do you remember that caterpillar you picked up and wanted to keep as a pet on the last tour?
Sort of?
Do you remember what happened to it?
It turned into a butterfly?
No. You accidentally sat on it.
Oh, that caterpillar.
Yes, the one that's dead now. And also the reason you shouldn't have pets.
But he's already dead. I can't make it worse.
The dog yawned and laid down on the floor of the van.
I'm sure there's a way.
Oh, knock it off. We're keeping the dog for now.
Savannah finally shut the van off and moved to get out.
Let's get some sleep already. I'm beat.
What? Why do you get to decide?
Because I have all our money and the keys to the van. So you don't have a lot of leverage.
As she slid out of the driver's seat and into the parking lot, I opened my mouth to retort, then shut it again, climbed out of the van and followed her to the check-in desk. The following evening we sat inside a tiny green room at a tiny venue in some town I can't remember the name of. No, this looks like a nice room. There I stared at the dead dog in the corner with mild agitation. The thing vanished every time someone other than the four of us entered the room, so at least we hadn't had to explain it to anyone else yet. The adrenaline from the night before had worn off, and I had slept a little too well, so I was fighting the weird drowsiness that follows that, and didn't have it in me to stay mad.
So what do we call it?
Huh?
The dog. What's its name?
Oh, well, the tag on the collar is so worn that I can't read it, but I was thinking of calling him Thief.
Thief? Why Thief?
He pointed at my hat.
Well, technically you came up with that.
I glanced upwards and pulled the hat further down on my head.
Yeah, okay, that's fitting.
Just then I was struck with a flash of brilliance.
Hey, Savannah, you know how we were thinking of changing the band name because we found out that Bottleneck is also the name of that weird country rap group?
Yeah? Why?
I think I have a new one.
She raised an eyebrow.
Go on.
Don't I get any input on this?
No. What is it, Corey?
I grinned and told her. She considered it for a moment, then nodded.
Okay. Let's try it out.
I was smiling ear to ear as I jogged out on stage, waving the crowd before launching into the first song in our set. After finishing it, I put up a foot on my monitor and looked out over the crowd of people occupying the small venue.
Now, I know you guys might have seen a band called Bottleneck on the bill tonight, but let's be honest, most of you haven't heard of us anyway, because you're all here to see the headliners. Am I right?
A slightly hesitant, confused cheer came from the crowd. I saw some shrugs in the first few rows.
Okay, that being the case, we're just going to go ahead and change the name.
I took a step back, adjusting my hat.
We are Stop Thief, and we're here to start this party.
So that's how we got our new name, I guess. Thief has been tagging along with us for a few weeks now, since Kaleb won't let go of that damn collar. I guess it's not so bad. He's not too hard to take care of, seeing as he doesn't eat or anything. As long as you keep him entertained, he usually won't destroy anything. He did get a hold of Brian's favorite boxers one day, though, and well, let's just say Brian doesn't have a favorite pair of boxers anymore. Ever since the incident with the abandoned house, though, we seem to have developed a habit of getting involved in some pretty strange stuff. Like, there was the thing living in the basement of the venue in Chicago. I don't really know how to describe it. It had like tentacles or spider legs. Might have been closer to spider legs. Anyway, there was also this band we opened for in boys that, like, I mean, I'm not saying they were vampires, but they were definitely vampires. They refused to come out of their bus until after dark, and I saw one knock back a bottle of this weird red stuff before going on stage. It could have been ketchup, but honestly, that would have been even weirder. And the singer, I mean, aside from the fact that he had fangs, he was just, I don't know, he's a weird dude. There was also that truly bizarre shit with the payphone in the green room in Phoenix. I'm still processing that one. Did you know they still have payphones? Neither did the venue owner. Kaleb almost got talked into joining a cult in Alabama, but we managed to bail him out before he got turned into a ritual sacrifice for some strange deity. Oh, and I'm like 90% sure that the promoter in New Orleans was a werewolf. Or maybe I'm just paranoid about hairy guys now. Maybe I'm just mad because we didn't get paid what I thought we were. And frankly, those aren't even the wildest stories. We're in between tours now and everyone's home, which is why I have some free time to write all this down. We're going back out soon because none of us want to have to get real jobs, and honestly, I'm getting a really bad feeling that our misadventures are far from over. And who knows? So that was Play Dead by Hazu and Skelebun Studios. Thank you for choosing to watch this video. If you enjoyed this experience, please leave a like, because it helps this channel to grow and reach more people. If you wish to support the developer of this game, check out the links I've added in the description text below this video.